We all like a little two-step, don't we? When the Mark V Supra was debuted to the world at the Detroit Auto Show in 2019, I think I speak for all of us that the spec sheet didn't disappoint. The launch edition had design language that has only grown better with time, even if it does sport fake vents. The 3-liter turbocharged inline-6 producing 335 horsepower and 365 foot-pounds of torque was a nice little bump from the 320 of the 2JZ, even though that B58 power plant may have been plucked from a BMW. Rounding it out with a 0 to 60 sprint in a tick under 4 seconds for around 50 grand? Come on, where do I sign up? Wait. What? Hold on, 1 sec. What? Why under transmission is there only one option? An 8-speed automatic with paddle shifters? That can't be right. I mean, every generation of Supra before it was offered with a manual. Was Toyota not gonna save the manuals? The answer was yes. Until now. Guys, the stoke level is a mile high because finally, yes, finally you can get a Supra with a proper standard transmission. And with the power numbers people are easily ringing out of that B58, AKA, you know, the new German 2J, this might be the most exciting, affordable tuner car that has ever been built. And Trav and I are gonna be the first people in the world to drive the manual Supra, which, if you love Supras, is that a Supra? Is that a Supra? Is that a Supra? Yeah, those are all Supras, and you can snag this limited ideal tee up here. And welcome back to Blinker Fluid, because this video is all about the manual Supra. Let's go. Okay guys, when the new Supra debuted, to say it was a hit would be an understatement. At SEMA 2019, our friends over at Throttle counted 43 Supras at the event. 43, I mean, that's gotta be some sort of world record. So why do people just love that Supra? Oh, so much.
I wanna love the Supra. It's a two-step process again. In the 1970s, Toyota debuted this Supra, which was a more powerful, wider, low spin-off of the second generation Celica, which was more of a grand tourer. But it wasn't until 1987 that Toyota created the first exclusive Supra model. And that Supra continued to break supercar owners' hearts all the way up to its demise in 1998. Things went radio silent for the brand until 2014, when Toyota surprised us all with the FT1 concept, a modern take on what a Supra could look like. As we know, well, the rest is history. And that concept was a precursor to the supercar slayer that we have today.
Now, if you're interested in an in-depth look of all generation Supra, check out our overdrive video up here. Because enough with the history lesson, which was my least favorite subject in school. I mean, what the hell does this thing actually drive like? Woo! Okay, you guys, now everybody and their mom has already reviewed how the automatic Supra drives. And with the GR Supra being one of only 16 cars in 2023 offered with over 300 horsepower and a manual, it is now a very rare bird. So I'm mainly gonna focus on how adding that manual option complements that already stout platform. First you lose speed, well, acceleration with the manual. But who cares? It's a couple of ticks slower, but it's way more fun.
Well, I guess some people care. You know, the people that write for the car magazines. But besides them, the numbers are secondary to pure fun.
Now, I'm going pretty slow on a racetrack and definitely holding up a few people, but I wanted to prove a point. The sequential turbo lays down the power in really any gear at any speed.
Which is really nice, because off the track, which is probably 98% of your driving, this drivetrain is a lot of fun at lower public road speeds too. But if you find some open tarmac,
this thing pulls all the way to redline like a freight train. Okay guys, now I had really high hopes for this platform, and having already driven the automatic, this thing with a manual transmission feels like a completely different car.
Now, I think that having manual control over the gears makes it feel lighter, dartier, and just way more of an engaging drive.
And the body, believe it or not, is actually more rigid than the Lexus LFA. So driver input, it's real solid, baby. Woo! And with 50-50 weight distribution, the 97.2-inch wheelbase shrinks around you, and it loves to dance, kind of like your ex-girlfriend.
This proper transmission option really pays homage to what makes a Supra a Supra.
And with the stick, it's a no-cost option. So in my mind, up here, well, it's a no-brainer. But to finally give us what we wanted, it cost Toyota engineers a lot of time and money to get it done.
Yes, Brad, yes it did, because the slick shift in 6-speed almost didn't happen. See, when Toyota and BMW agreed to co-develop the Supra, it basically went down like this.
BMW had just started development of the new Z4, the G29. But the Z4 has never been a hugely profitable car, and it just so happened that Toyota had decided to finally give new life to the Supra, a car that had to be a rear-wheel drive two-seater that would use an inline-six. BMW had the chassis and engine already sorted, and the right engineers to build a sports car already in place. Toyota had a big bag of money, and the brains to know that instead of starting from scratch and developing an all-new car that would probably be a loss leader, a better move is to work with other established companies already in the space. Sort of like the Subaru Scion deal they were already right in the middle of.
But here's the rub. BMW wasn't going to put a manual transmission in the Z4. No, they knew their buyers. They knew that the boomers that were going to actually buy these things weren't choosing manual transmissions. So if Toyota wanted to stick in the Supra, they were on their own.
And therein lies the problem. When a car's being developed, things like what kind of transmission it's going to use have to be decided on pretty early in the process.
It takes years to engineer the chassis around the powertrain, or engineer the powertrain to fit in the space that the chassis has available, or figure out where things like the gear selector are going to go, and the clutch pedal, and hydraulics, and the different engine tuning, and the change from a flex plate to a flywheel, and potentially a different driveline and final drive. It goes on and on.
So since BMW wasn't willing to go back to the drawing board and source a manual box that would work, Toyota decided to commission a bespoke one for themselves. It's built by ZF and based on an existing design, but they had to get creative with how to cast the mounting points where they needed to be, and they had to change the final drive ratio, and the clutch, and the shifter mechanism. They removed the acoustics package, fitted a larger friction disc, and a reinforced clutch diaphragm spring.
And then they added technology like IMT to get you and I goodies like auto rev matching, and engine torque output tuning based on clutch pedal position and engine load, and they obsessed over how it feels.
From the specially tuned clutch action to the weight and shape of the gear selector, right up to the exact placement and feel of the gates. They even went through the trouble of moving the drive mode selector, which required reworking the entire console just to get the feel right.
And then they had to recertify the car for crash testing, and emissions and noise regs, and mileage. Clearly, not just as simple as adding a third pedal.
Because, well, the formula that makes the Supra so lovable is simple. The Mark IV twin turbo made its way into enthusiast hearts on the silver screen. It was then that most of us learned that the Supra was a Japanese take on the American muscle car, but it could actually turn. But instead of using a brute force V8, which was in Dom's Charger, they used overbuilt 6 cylinders with turbos, a factory limited slip differential, and a get-reg manual transmission that could handle all the power. What I'm saying is that it was the whole package, and you can boost up performance without losing that Toyota reliability, which cannot be said about the American flavor in muscle cars, can it? So, the Mark V had very big shoes to fill, like shack size. And although it was a tuner car hero right off the bat, we all knew that it was missing something. That special ingredient that grandma wouldn't give you when she gave you her cookie recipe. It was missing that connection we enthusiasts seek out every time we drive a car. The B58 with an automatic, which is not a dual clutch, but very good nonetheless, was good. But it always left us wondering, What could have been? So, it took years, which felt like dog years, but good things come to those who wait. The missing link was the manual, and the largest automaker actually listened to us enthusiasts. Gazoo Racing is driven by their passion to build something that was born on the track, not in the bedroom. Boardroom. It's almost romantic knowing that this Supra, with the German 2J, forward-thinking design language, and a third pedal, is what they chose is going to drive off into the sunset as perhaps the last dinosaur-powered sports car to come from the brand. Now, the way that us enthusiasts let them know that we care, well, we gotta vote with our wallets. It's gonna be very interesting over the next 12 months to see how many manual Supras are sold compared to the automatic sibling. And mark my words, in 20 years, this will be looked at as one of the best tuner cars ever built, ever. It'll turn heads, it'll make all the right noises burning those hydrocarbons, and everyone will know we're old when we reference an infamous orange 10-second car in a movie that we watched on DVD. Thank you for watching this blinker fluid, and thank you Toyota for saving the manuals. Snag one of our best-selling manual tees down here, or check out this blinker fluid starter pack up here. Also, you could watch what YouTube thinks you should watch next down here. I'm Brad, this is Ideal. Promise me one thing, keep living the ideal lifestyle.